All right, y'all know what time it is. It's a Brothers Got Next. I'm here with my co-host Darian. It's our 100th episode. Darian,
Yes. What up? 100 episodes, bro.
Dang, I remember
I
our
can't believe this.
it's
Idea started in an apartment. It was me and you in an apartment, and I was like, "Yo, we should do a podcast."
it's like how Amazon started, a little
Yeah,
garage.
you was like, "Yeah, let's do it," and then we did it, and we had 100 episodes now. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Well, we got an exciting episode coming up for you here. We're gonna get right into it. We've got an awesome guest joining us. She is just a person that is just really admired in this industry. Fox Radio sports host Kelsey Nicole Nelson, also George Washington University professor. Kelsey, what's up? How you doing?
Look, I'm fantastic. I feel honored to be part, the 100th episode. I'm like, I must be doing something right when you get invited back. But congratulations to you fellas. I can't remember how long it was ago that we all connected on a podcast previously. And I feel like since then, all of our careers have taken off in just amazing ways. So, I'm just thankful. And we haven't met in person. So I'm just thankful to meet good people like you.
Yeah.
No, Kelsey, remember, I met you when you were a young
That's
reporter
right.
covering Maryland football.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, you were. I remember you were young. I was like, I was working for
Wait, you said you remember when I was young. Look, I'm still young. Look, I'm still young.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm not saying you. Oh, right. But I'm saying you were younger than you are now. Like, because I felt like when I first met you, you were like a college student. I think you were out of college then. You know what I mean? But yeah, that was at Maryland football when
Maryland
Diggs was playing.
And yeah, we had the studs back then.
Randy Edsel was the coach. You know
Randy
what I mean?
Edsel memories. Like that's what we're trying to get back to with Maryland football. We're trying to get back to that. But that just for people out there that are going on my turfs, just remember Maryland football produces top NFL players. All right,
Oh, absolutely.
more. We got a lot of guys in the league, right? That'd be repping. It's been a little hard after that Boston Western, if you can't tell.
It's awesome to have you join us, and we're going to get right into it. Obviously, the story in the DMV is the Commanders. I mean, they're playing really well right now. Obviously, they lost to the Ravens. That's never a bad thing. They're 4-2. They're leading the NFC East. Just give us some of your takeaways. I mean, what are your thoughts so far on the Commanders? I mean, obviously, I'll brag a little bit. I did pick them to make the playoffs this year, but to be fair, they're playing a lot better than I expected, especially with having a quarterback. But yeah, what are your thoughts so far? Do you think they can make the playoffs out of the NFC East?
It's been fun to live in Washington, D.C. when the football is good. Because, if folks don't know, D.C. is
often.
Look, DC is a football town, and I think these fans have been waiting for something to root for, right? I mean, I've been at Commanders games, when there's more opposing fans, they have had the sewage issues as well, unfortunately, at that stadium, So it's been a lot of just like down times, I think, for this franchise, right? I mean, I've seen ticket sales, go super low, like cheap low, like Wendy's meal price low, before price meal low, so all that
bag meal.
Right, the biggie bag meal, right?
Right.
So all that to say, I think it's exciting to once again it be a hot ticket in town. I think what Jaden Daniels has done for this community is he's revived it, right? Like there's a pride. It's like right now, the community's getting ready. Mayor Bowser's about to give Darrell Green the keys to the city and talking to DC residents, like the old heads and the people who have been here, like they remember the good times, right? But millennials, Gen Z, all the young folks, they don't know what that is, right? Because the Super Bowl again is 30 years ago, right? Like it's been a long, really what? I'm 32 and it's 92. So 32 years ago that happened. So I think I think DC has for a long time been hungry and thriving. There's a lot of pride here, right? Like we're the nation's capital, we're a sports town. We have everything, but the football, we've had that itch and that bug. And coming off a season like last season, where it was hurtful for fans and you had fans really thinking about like, I don't even know if it's worth renewing my season tickets to having new ownership. But now the ownership group and the promise of what they said when they came, matching the product on the football field, Kwab, I think it's exciting for fans. All in all to say, like, this was a Commanders fan base. Of course, fans were going to say they were going to win the NFC East, but I don't know if they really believe that. But belief right now is what's carrying the Commanders, right? Like for my Maryland Terror fans right now, the theme was frustration. For the Commanders, it's complete opposite for that football program, right? It's people being proud. Like even coming out of that Ravens game, like Commanders fans were proud that like
for sure,
a top quality team, like essentially a run for their money, which is exciting because before you saw that game, like nobody really cared from the Baltimore side. They're like, that's an easy win, and DC fans just wanted to compete with DC versus Baltimore theme. But all in all to say, I think what the Commanders have done, again, is bring the city back together and given them something to root for. So the fact that they're leading the NFC East is incredible and amazing. There's a lot of new faces, right, on this football squad. You think about guys like Noah Brown, guys that, again, weren't there before, but people are rooting for. It's exciting, right? Jaden Daniels and his promise, because remember, there's been broken hearts in the past with draft picks as quarterbacks,
for sure.
right? Dwayne Haskins, right? But that didn't work out. So fans, they had questions, right? And, on the other side, I know we'll talk Wizards later, but, again, questions, right? With high draft picks. So all in all to say, I feel like finally, like the proof is in the pudding, right? And finally fans really can tout their chest. Jaden Daniels just had a top selling jersey on Fanatics. Like, again, burgundy and gold is all around the city, and there's a proudness
I see it.
Back.
Yeah, so piggybacking off the Jaden Daniels thing, he's playing phenomenally. I mean, they're not just talking about him as maybe offensive rookie of the year. Now they're talking about him as an MVP.
Yeah.
Just talk about, do you think the Commanders have kind of found, obviously they've had Robert Griffin, who had that one great year. Unfortunately, he got hurt.
Right, that
but
knee.
Literally before that and after that, they've really just gone through quarterbacks. Do you think now Jaden Daniels is the guy that can probably be your quarterback for like a decade?
Look, if Jaden Daniels keeps playing the caliber he's playing, and remember, he's a rookie, like fresh out of college, right? Fresh out of LSU. I think for sure, like, this is the first guy. It feels like I feel like the Commanders, essentially, the fans have been dating quarterbacks, right? They've been going out on dates, they've been treating them, but just not sure if they want to return back. Where finally it's like, all right, they're ready to put the ring on it, essentially, and want to be with him for a lifetime, essentially, right? So I think that's what's promising, because one, Jaden Daniels is putting points on the board, y'all. Who had the Commanders being a top scoring offense in the National Football League? I mean, got exciting football, right, being played here in Washington. And, all in all, the defense, I know, Benjamin St. Juice probably didn't want to check his mentions after that Ravens game.
Yeah, that was a rough outing for him.
But the defense, again, still coming and budding together. But we knew going into the season, right, there were going to be some questions there, right? I know Jonathan Allen out now. But, again, people wanting him to step up along with Deron Payne, because feeling like after that Montez Sweat trade, that just hasn't been the same, right, with that front. And obviously, we know Chase Gomez, I don't know, if you're a Saints fan, you might say went on to greener pastures. But all that to say, I feel like because the offense is finally clicking, right, a top receiver here in Washington and Terry McLaurin, who, fans have felt sorry for, because, again, a top receiver who just hasn't had the guy to get him the ball. It feels like finally everything is meshing. So I think, to your point, fans here are excited. Now, I'm not going to go as far as MVP, because I think that's going to be a lot, tougher, but offensive rookie of the year. Yes. Yes. I mean, it's been one of the most guys. But again, I live in DC, not too far from Baltimore. So I know there's a guy, Lamar Jackson, who's always in that MVP conversation, as well. And you got to put respect, right? Respect is due. But Jaden has done something, I think, incredible, right? He has brought back hope to that. I mean, we're hearing players talk about just how the locker room environment, has changed. And also prop to Dan Quinn, right? It's not just Jaden on that football field, right? And who's helping to restore that. I think the coaching staff deserves some credit as well. Cliff Kingsbury and what he's been able to do with this offense. It's not predictable. I feel like it has been in the past. I mean, they've had some of the most fun plays to watch, not just on Sunday, but I mean, in the National Football League as a whole, right? People like watching this Commanders offense, and I think defense is having to adequately prepare for the squad. So all in all, I think it's exciting. And again, I think we can actually say the P word here in Washington without regretting it or having folks laugh back at it. Because again, people, when you talk about top NFC teams right now, you have to be talking about the Commanders, right? And I don't think anybody had that, because again, this was a team that had went through controversy and turmoil, like on all levels. Like you said, quarterbacks, like two plural, we've had to say, too many times. So again, finally, it just feels like stuff is getting right in Washington. And that Washington can restore that faith and glory that this franchise once had. Alumni being happy to come back and support this team. Like, everybody's buying back into the product of Washington. So all in all to say, I think Jaden has been such a catalyst for that. Also, his mom, I should say, is beloved here in DC as well. Mama Daniels has a lot of love from fans. So him and his family, I think, have really been embraced. And again, what he's been able to do on the football field with living up to that, those high expectations has been, I think, very exciting to watch as that number 2 pick. So again, not just being the number 2 pick, but actually putting the action right behind that has been really fun to watch. So yeah, this is a team, y'all, that we might be seeing come postseason, which is really, really exciting. Hasn't been that way.
I love the analogy you used of they've kind of dated a lot of quarterbacks. I'll tell you what, they were engaged at one point. Robert Griffin III.
That was the one they were ready to drop to a knee on him, but unfortunately, the other knee went out for him, and it was just unfortunate, because again, and this is, RG3 is the guy that actually raves right about Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
I think, to have that sign off as well is completely great. But you're right, because we went through the whole Kirk Cousins experiment. And props to Kirk. I'm happy for him. Shout out to 509 yards. I didn't think I had that on my bingo card. And questions, about him and his injuries. But again, you have to remember this franchise. I mean, in my lifetime, it's crazy the amount of quarterbacks they went through. It should be illegal what Washington has had to go through in the quarterback rank. Yeah. It's always a different guy. And then it's all to say, like, Washington fans were excited about, Taylor Heineke. He was kind of like that blue quarter, like tough guy quarterback, didn't think he would get the job fully done, but like would give his all. And so I think there have been promises, right? Like they were dating and they had that promise, like maybe that potential, but again, it was never lived up to. So finally, like you said, like it feels like Jaden Daniels is the guy that no one wants to leave from. I mean, he's the top talking point in a very busy town, which is very, very impressive for, again, a young rookie in his first year, in his first couple of games that we're raving about him. Learning curve has been so quick, and I think that's what made us all just excited about his prospect, because he has no ceiling. It's only going to get higher.
And there was even a little bit of excitement, like a little bit, not a lot, like a little bit with like Sam Howell. I'm like, oh, there might be something there. And then, not really. But
for some, let me tell you, I was not, and I like Sam Howell as a person, but I was not the biggest Sam Howell fan. There was people, and let me say this, there was people on record who tried to tell me Kelsey is crazy for trying to say Jaden Daniels over Drake May, and ha 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 ha, Halloween early on you all, because I kept telling people, Jaden Daniels was the guy that needed to be here. Again, Washington needed, like you said, a kind of RG3 style type quarterback, guy who could get the ball down the field, which we've seen Jaden Daniels do, and why this team has been so successful. I mean, at one point you couldn't get this team to punt this season. Like, they just had that offensive rhythm, right? I mean, he was able to lead that, but also mobile. Sam Howell, my biggest thing with him, I think he had so much potential, but when you're on your back a lot of the time, and that's not all, his fault, obviously the offensive line as well, but it's hard to do a lot. I thought he held onto the ball too long, man, took too many of those sacks. So all in all, to say, it's good to see a guy that I think makes a little bit smarter decisions in the pocket. And of course, there is things Jaden can improve on. But again, he's that guy that I haven't seen DC this excited or electric about a guy in a while. And I mean all of DC. Like Sam Howell is, depends on who you talk to in DC. But Jaden Daniels, I haven't heard one thing bad. He really has united a city in the midst of an election in a couple of weeks. That's a very hard thing to do
for sure.
in Washington.
Right, for sure. Yeah, so now we know you cover the WNBA, right? So, I'm a New Yorker. Shout out Yankees tonight. We're gonna go 3-0 tonight. But just talk about the WNBA Finals a little bit. Yo, Ionescu last night shooting from the logo. Man, that was crazy.
That was nasty.
Yeah.
That was almost Steph Curry. Like, I thought I was watching Steph Curry when she hit that shot. I'm like, yeah, that's Steph. She's Steph right there. But let's talk about what a championship would mean to the Liberty. They've never won one. They've been so close so many times. Yeah. Let's talk about the legacy for Breanna Stewart, and now I guess we have to say for Ionescu, because everybody always talks about Breanna Stewart, but Ionescu, I mean, it may be 1A, 1B. You know what I mean? So just talk about like how big that would be for the New York Liberty and just their legacy to bring a championship, to the city.
Yeah, because I feel like their kryptonite has been the Las Vegas Aces, right? Oh, the New York Liberty are really good, but there's also the Las Vegas Aces. And they have been obviously that standard, right? We know how good Asia Wilson and that squad have been. And so it feels like finally, with them being knocked out of it, there is a chance of hope for this New York Liberty squad. And I'm glad you talked about Sabrina Ionescu, because her play is a large reason why they're here, right? If you followed her through the semifinals and all that she's been able to do, and even, with her, you could say struggling a bit, right? Shooting the basketball, she was able to come up big in the biggest moments, clutch. And that's not something we get to use for all players. And, I think Benasia, Jonquel Jones, GW zone. I got to shout out George Washington University. She's an alum of that.
Right.
All these players, what they've been able to put together. Courtney Vandersloot, right, has been able to step up at times as well, right, throughout this duration of the postseason. So I think this has been such a fun team to watch. And really, they fought back, because at the beginning of that game last, on game 3,
it didn't look good.
Yes, like Minnesota was just, I mean, they were just on their stride. They were hitting, what was it, 7 turnovers in the first quarter. And it was like 4 minutes still left in the first quarter. It was not characteristic New York Liberty basketball. And, you obviously playing on the road in Minnesota, such an electric crowd. Just things weren't looking good, right? Brianna Stewart got into foul trouble early on. She also obviously has been vocal about, unfortunately, homophobic threats that her and her wife have received, right? So there's also stuff going on as well. So I think all in all, what this squad has been able to pull together, it's been a beautiful thing to watch. I don't know, for me, it's like you want them to get that first, right? I was in DC when the Mystics got their first championship. It was something special. I want the same for New York, right? To be able to have that. And New York fans deserve it, right? Like, I'm sorry, y'all.
We do.
Deserve this. Like,
we do.
So fun to watch with the mascot, right? And she's pulled so many people in. Big shout out to Big E.
Ellie, is it Ellie the Elephant?
Ellie the Elephant is amazing.
Is that the name of him? That's the name of that.
Ellie Darian.
That's my wife's name. That's my wife's name.
You don't know about Ellie the Elephant?
No, I don't know about Ellie the
Elephant. Ellie the Elephant.
I don't keep up with mascots. You know what I mean?
That's one of the GOAT mascots and all those.
I didn't know her name was Ellie though.
She was on CBS Mornings like a couple of days. Yeah, she was getting interviewed.
That's sad.
It's Ellie the Elephant. You know what I mean?
That's my girl.
That's in New York. You know what I'm saying? That's all I care about. I just want New York to get this win. You know what I mean?
I feel like they have the pieces. Like, I think it's going to come down to defense, right? Because Minnesota is a high-scoring offensive squad. Courtney Williams is one of my favorite to watch right now in the WNBA. She's a killer on the other end of the basketball. If you
she was cold-blooded in game 1. That's the one that hit that shot at the end. Was like, yo.
She had that 4-point play. I mean, she's incredible, like Courtney. And then her dad on the sidelines is also one of the most fun things to watch, I think, in basketball, rooting her on. Obviously, Napheesa Collier and what she can bring.
Oh, she's so good. She's one of the best players in the league. And, like, I feel like it's cool to see her on the big stage and people are finally getting to see her game.
Yes, getting to know her name, right? Big Fee. And I think, because, I think for so long, remember second in MVP voting, right? Because we know how great A'ja Wilson is. But, I mean, Napheesa Collier is just, she's a dog. She's got that mentality. Awesome. She can lead. Like, I think that Minnesota squad is so hard. Kayla McBride was starting to hit early, right, for that Minnesota squad. So I think defense is going to be key. I think, we saw Brianna Stewart get into foul trouble early, Jonquel Jones as well. I think New York's bigs are going to have to play safe basketball. But again, that means they're going to have to play playing smart, right? If Minnesota's able to pull out their bigs, especially Jonquel Jones, that's when she kind of started to get into those foul troubles. Because, she don't need to be jumping, trying to block a 3 ball. Like, no. Jonquel. So all in all to say, I think defense is gonna be key, and also who can get to the foul line, right? Who is able to draw those fouls? So it's gonna be fun, honestly. And shout out to the viewership records. It's been so exciting for folks that didn't know this, but basketball's not all around one player. The product has been there; it's been building, and I think we're seeing just again the great play. I mean, literally. We've had, I guess you could say other than game 2, right? But even then you could say there was a run that Minnesota tried to come on, but these have been great basketball games that we have gotten in this WNBA Finals. But I just do feel like it's New York's time to claim it all.
So we're going to take an unfortunate sharp turn because you used a lot of words like great, exciting, fun. That's not the Wizards.
I knew where we were going.
All right, listen. So they got Alex Sarr. Like they're obviously they're trying to build. Jordan Poole, Kyle Kuzma. I mean, let's just keep it real. Like they're the least exciting.
Well, you gotta watch the commercial. This is a commercial that comes on every time with the Wizards. And Jordan Peele and I think it's the general manager.
Jordan Poole or
Jordan Poole. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
We're building something here. We're building. You hear that a lot. Building, rebuilding, building something.
Yeah.
They've been building something for a long time though. So
they stay building, man.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So I just want to ask, like, obviously the expectations aren't very high, but do you kind of see, like, do you see any positives with, this upcoming season? Like, I guess the question is, like, what do you want to see this season out of the Wizards?
You said it, right? It's a rebuild. So Wizards fans, you got to be patient, essentially. Like this is definitely a season where you're going. And again, you have to go in with that outlook for the future, and you have to go in with hope, right? You got to have Obama in your head. The change we can believe in is what you're hoping for what this Wizards squad is trying to sell. I think, a point that hasn't been talked about a lot, Jonas Valanciunas, right? Being able on that squad. I know ESPN just named him to the top 100 list. Even though I feel like he's getting lost being in Washington, I feel like I talk to some folks and they forget that, like, he's even there. Because again, sometimes
I ain't gonna lie to you, I kind of forgot.
Yeah. always a place you come to get more attention, right? Sometimes it's the opposite.
Right.
Unfortunately. But I think what's exciting, I think Jordan Poole, I think this is definitely a big prove it year, right? Like last year was rough, let's be honest, right?
Oh, brutal. He got benched. Yeah.
He started to have a little bit of bright spot, but it wasn't enough to really be talked about, right? So you leave Golden State. What happened in Golden State happened, and when you see your ex, you're supposed to be able to put on and show that you've taken a rise. Unfortunately for him, it went opposite, right? And he was supposed to be such like DC fans were excited, right, to get him here because it was like finally a guy that can score the basketball, like because DC fans, I mean Bradley Beal gone, right? Yeah, that shooter gone, that era's done. John Wall gone, that era done, right? So it's kind of like the Wizards are ushering in this new area, and we're looking for that guy. And I think Kyle Kuzma has tried to be that, but obviously I think Kyle Kuzma as well. And Kyle Kuzma I think doesn't get talked about enough either, right? Like he has had some positives playing in DC, but again it's DC, so only so many people are going to talk about that. But I think there's a lot of pressure on those two. But I think honestly, what people are most excited about is going to be that young talent, right? Like Bub Carrington, I think is one of the favorites that everyone likes to ask me about. Obviously, he has local ties, being from Baltimore, and he brings that Baltimore. And Summer League, I think he was exciting to watch. I think Alex Sarr has a lot of questions, right? I think if you watch preseason play, you're like, okay, there's some upside.
He's very raw.
The learning curve has started, right? But Summer League, and people were bashing him, right? Like it was rough. Like him and Bronny are probably like the top two getting a lot of the hate right now.
I think in the Summer League game, didn't he have like 0, 0, and 0? They were getting on.
Yeah, he had like an 0 for 15.
Yeah, he played like 20 minutes, and they were like, he didn't do anything.
It was tough, right? Especially when you had other guys that came after you, again, having good debuts for NBA fans to see. So all in all, I think for the Wizards, a 500 season would be something that Wizards fans should be.
Oh, my gosh.
And
that might be enough for a play-in.
Play-in, right.
It's lofty, right? But that's what's so scary about it. But again, I think the Wizards fans just have to understand that this is a time that again, patience is going to have to be practiced. Patience is going to be a virtue. Keep whatever your favorite pastor is in your head. Say your favorite Bible script when you're watching the Wizards, like calm and collected as much as you can. But all in all, they are going to win some games. They're not going to go winless. I think they will.
I hope not.
They will do some battles, but it definitely is a rebuild. This is one of them slow rise rebuilds. Like this is that building that you've seen going up in your community for years, and the funding's not and then they're going to come back to it. Like we're just waiting for that building to be completed. But again, it's going to be rough for Washington, but I'm not ready to write them off completely yet. But yeah, don't expect them to make a lot of noise in the East.
Just focus on the Commanders. That's my advice.
Right, exactly. So let me ask you one quick question though, because the one thing I would say about the Wizards over the years, you know what I mean, is like they've never really been able to get like big time free agents. You never hear them in the conversation of, and I never got it because I'm like DC is it's a great city, like the DMV area. When you talk about the market, the media market, I never understood why they weren't able to get big time free agents. What do you think the issue is of why they can't attract big time free agents?
Unfortunately, and I've said this on a show before, that sometimes DC can be the place where talent comes to die. And I say this to say, if you don't come to the Wizards at the right time, it's not going to be marketable. Like I said, DC is a football town, first and foremost, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like people who really do like basketball, they always bring up the Bullets days, right? They're not,
right,
and then the younger fans will bring up the Gilbert Arenas days, but we are so far removed, right, from both of those eras, kind of, right? And that Caron Butler, Antoine J.
So many good basketball players that come out of this area that go other places and ball, like high school, college. I mean,
the DM breeds ballers. I tweet
exactly
all the time. So, like you said, so much talented, and from the young ranks, I think, and when you look at the K through 12 ranks, DC is such a basketball breeder, right? I mean,
I think it's right up there with New York, LA, Chicago. Those are probably the big four.
But they don't come back, right? I mean, and for like KD, we can't even get KD right to come home and play for the Wizards. Like,
he was like, "Yeah, I'm good."
I'm low. And that's what it's been. So honestly, I think there's a couple things when you look at it, right? I think like the ownership, like I think we live in a time when ownership is actually something, right, that players are looking at, because owners I think are more visible than they've ever been before, right? I think too, again, who are you going to be playing with, right? Like before, if you're going to come to the squad, like when we had John Wall and Bradley Beal, you kind of had to accept the third option, right? And then when it was Bradley Beal, could you be like that kind of like 2 option? Now you come here and okay, you're looking at Kyle Kuzma, you're looking at Jordan Poole, but there's uncertainty, right? And so I think that's kind of why if you come here to DC, like honestly, Valanciunas is a good example. I'm like, I feel like he was just at that point in his career where he's like, look, I've played a lot of basketball. And at this point, like, I'm willing to risk it, right? And take that chance. A lot of players aren't there yet, right? Because, I mean, if you think about it, like, when the Wizards basketball's fun, it was fun. Like, I loved the Gortat days. I thought he was great here.
Marshawn Gortat. Oh, oh, you taking it back. Okay.
Paul Pierce. I mean, there was a time when Wizards
I forgot about Paul Pierce.
Paul Pierce on the Wizards.
Basketball was like fun to watch. And of course, John Wall. Of course, many Wizards fans hate how that saga ended out. And then again, so I feel like the problem with DC right now is there is no guy. And I don't know if anybody wants to come and really try to build with that, right? Because a lot of the top agents, the free agents now that you're thinking about, they're older, right? Like, Paul George is in Philly now, right? He was not even looking DC's way. Like, he's ready.
You never see the top players even. I never see, when any of the free agents, when the big free agent list comes out for.
Don't look at DC.
I never see, Washington, or hey, I may think about going to Washington, or they're even on their list. It's just like they don't get them.
He's looking this way, and like I said, I think the Wizards have to do something to make it more attractive. Like, I'm old enough to remember the short Chris Paul stint that we had here in DC.
Oh my God!
If you want to count it that, right?
Chris Paul was here.
He never played for the Wizards.
He never played here, but he was here for a little bit.
Okay.
Kwab was exactly what I'm saying, right? But it was kind of funny. It's like, dang, we got Chris Paul. But also like, Chris Paul's not staying.
He's not going.
Right? And that's really what it was. And I think that's what DC is. It's like, you hear it maybe in a trade, but then it's going to be another trade that happens, and that player's not going to stay here. So I think it's on ownership, honestly. I think DC as a city has sold itself. This is a fun place, right? Players have to do what they need to do to make sure that they're focused and maintained. But at the same time, it's like, again, come here for what? What are you not? It's not going to be a championship, right? It's a top media market, but basketball isn't like the top thing that's talked about here.
Yeah. Right.
If we're being honest. It's not like the Knicks, right? Or right. The Bucks. It's the Wizards are talked about, but like also nobody talks about the Wizards, right? It's DC is weird like that. Like the Commanders, even when bad, will still be talked about more than the Wizards, and it just is that. And the Mystics are so far removed, right, from their WNBA championship. Yeah. So they'll also
right now,
also like the Wizards are
Belladon days.
And and I hope she comes back. Like, so at this point, the Wizards are at the bottom of the totem pole. So like, if I'm an NBA player, it's my question is why? Unless you just want to come talk and do interviews with me, I don't know if there's supposed to come into DC.
Got you.
So Kelsey, before we say goodbye, we're gonna do a little rapid fire.
Okay.
So what is a guilty pleasure watch? We look at your Netflix queue. What's recently viewed?
What did I just
you watching
Yellow Jackets? So I like scary. Like, I don't know if anybody knows.
Like horror movies?
Oh, I love horror movies. Like, this is my time right now. October, like.
Yeah, my wife is like that too. She likes.
What's the new one that just came out? Speak No Evil. I didn't get to see that yet.
I saw that. That was good.
So that is going to be on my list. So
James McAvoy in that movie just crushes it. Great movie.
What streaming service is it on?
We rented it.
You rented it. Okay.
In theaters, but you can still do like rentals.
Right.
You fancy. So you got money. I go to the movies on Tuesdays, $6.
Here's the thing. That's fair. We need to go with them during them cheap days going to the movies. But I just love watching movies on the couch. You turn on the surround sound. It's great. Yeah,
that's what I'm about. Yeah, I'm about free streaming. You know what I mean?
Okay, so hear me out. This question takes time to develop, but hear me out before you make a crazy face, or one of y'all makes a crazy face. So you're on death row. Okay, you get one last meal.
Ooh.
Okay, you get the meal, you get a drink, and you get a dessert. What's what you picking?
Okay, I'll start with dessert because I have a sweet tooth. Definitely cheesecake. Love cheesecake. My absolute guilty pleasure. Ooh, a meal. That one's hard. My family's Southern, so I grew up on good food. Somebody just tweeted some charbroiled oysters, so that has to be part of my meal.
Ooh, okay.
Sides and stuff, right? Too. This is hard. A good steak, well done. Yes, I'm that person.
Well done.
At least medium well.
Yeah.
My sauce, and I'm a happy camper. Oh, this is hard. I don't even know what other side. I love mac and cheese. I know this is probably like weird for folks, so mac and cheese has to be somewhere in there. And then I guess if I'm on death row, I guess I should still have something green. So I'll still get me a good Caesar salad.
No, I'll get a salad.
you're
healthy.
So Kelsey, we all know you're a hard working woman. You're one of the hardest working women in show business, especially in sports business.
Thank you.
What's a typical like night for you, free night for you when you're not working, you're not,
We're getting all into her personal life now. Like, yeah, what do you do?
Like I said, every time I see her, you're a busy woman. I always see you hosting, you're a professor, you're a host. I mean, you have your own, radio show. It's like you're doing it all. Like I said, you're a Renaissance woman. So what's a typical like free night for you?
Free night. Okay, so I'll tell you, DC is like one of those cities. So my free nights, I wouldn't know if it's free, but like DC is a networking city, right? So when I have like my freer nights, I'm usually at like a networking type event, right? Meeting people, exchanging business cards, right? So it's honestly, so like when people see me out at these events, that's literally what it is, because DC is a who you know town. So it's like literally you go out, you network with folks, somebody knows somebody. It's like a big but small town. And then you're like at a happy hour, right? So like usually it's DC has like a lot of open bar stuff. So it's like a happy hour networking event. And then, usually you'll continue the conversation over dinner. I feel like I sound like an old person, but that is like my free night, like networking, talk, come back home. And then I do try to like watch, I'm trying to catch up on Netflix. So like I just watched Resball, which was really, really great on Netflix. And I actually just had one of the actors from the show that I interviewed. So I think that's what it is now. Like just a good watch. I told you I like scary. I like crime shows too. What's the one on Netflix with the crazy Alabama woman that like fell in love with the guy in jail? Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I don't know. I can't remember the name.
And cut on the TV.
Yeah, I'm a big ID guy. I watch ID.
I like it too.
My wife gets on me. She gets scared because I watch ID. She thinks I'm gonna do something.
Like, what's happening? Are you getting ideas?
No, I just love. Like I'm like you. I'm very intrigued by what people do. I guess I'm with the human mind. I'm very intrigued about how people think when they do these things. You know what I mean? It's like, what made you do that? Because I can, in my mind, I couldn't think to do that stuff. You know what I mean?
That's what I think it is for me. Because like I actually started school as a psychology major before journalism. So I think that's always been part of me. That's me. Like I like to figure things out. But yeah, I'm boring at night, folks. My life looks more interesting on social media. Probably than
all of us.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm home relaxing, and then I'm repeating the cycle. Most of my nights are grading papers now, so that is my life right now.
What? Okay, last question. So you could travel. You can have the all expenses paid vacation anywhere in the world.
Ooh.
Where are you going?
Okay, so I'll tell you, one of the trips I'm going on this year is Africa for the first time, which I'm so excited about.
You're going to Ghana? Ghana, right? Yeah.
I wish, but I'm going to Rwanda they're the ones
who I've heard Rwanda's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Africa would have been my choice, but I've never been to the Caribbean, and I always hear wonderful things about the Caribbean.
Go to Jamaica.
All right, so maybe
I'm part Jamaican, so I'm a little biased. Yeah.
Cool. I would think the Caribbeans, or I feel like Iceland is another place, but I've heard like just wonderful things about. But probably the Caribbeans first, because I love sand. I love my toes being out. So
yeah, me and my wife are going to Jamaica next year, so that's the plan.
Nice. So. Well, look, that might be our trip. Group trip.
There you go.
Me and the then girlfriend, now wife, went to Jamaica back in 2019.
Jamaica?
No, I did not propose in Jamaica. That would have been a little early.
We were just getting to know each other.
We had an awesome time. Very just very friendly. The beaches were beautiful, and we didn't even do Montego Bay. We went like Runaway Bay, which is probably like an hour away. Highly recommend both of y'all to go. So
yeah, that's the plan. You recommended it. That's what I'm planning to do next year.
We're full of recommendations here, Kelsey. We got.
I'm taking notes because I haven't had a real vacation in so long. So
yeah, that's another thing I was going to ask you, because I was going to say, I mean, for everything you do, like when do you get to take vacations?
That's the thing. It's like when I travel, it's work travel, right? Like so that's something I can't remember like the last time I took a real vacation. So what I just try to do is anytime I have a work vacation, just try to build in some extra time, right? When I can just do a little bit of something for me. But a real vacation, it's been years. It's honestly
we got to keep an eye on your social media. We got to get you to some blue waters, white sand.
There you go. Right. There you go.
Well, Kelsey, thanks for joining us. This was fun.
Yeah, appreciate it. Always. Finally.
Me. It's so good to see you fellas again. Just rooting for you all. Always appreciate your time. I can't thank you enough for all the support and love that you guys have shown me. So it's mutual. No, proud of you guys.
Thank you.
I'm just excited and honored to be back. And again, congrats on 100 episodes. That's amazingly. That's huge. something to be proud of, and can't wait to hopefully be back to celebrate the 200th episode.
Oh, yeah, we got you.
No doubt, no doubt.
Thanks,
Have
fellas.
a
So
good
good
one,
to see you
Kelsey.
guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that was fun. She's cool. That's good
Yeah,
people.
man, that's the homie. That's the homie, man. Like I said, knowing her from where she started, where I met her, like I said, when we both covered Maryland football, that was 2014. Like I said, that was Stephon Diggs, Randy Edsel, you know, yeah, from where she's, I mean, it's 10 years ago. So she was 22, you know what I mean? And you know, I remember meeting her, and yeah, you know, you know how you could just tell when you meet somebody, like the ambition and the drive they have, like
Yeah.
you knew they're gonna do something special. Like, yeah, this person's gonna go on to do stuff special, and yeah, she has. I'm not surprised. That's why I kind of always kept in contact with her when I met her. We kept in contact always. You know, she's always been real cool. And it's funny because you know, when I moved back to the East Coast, and then obviously when we came up with doing the podcast, she's one of the first persons I thought about, you know, having on. You know, I was like, yeah, you know, she's, because I would follow on social media. She's always doing stuff, you know, and yeah,
Good
man, cool peoples.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It was great having her on. But I have to ask you real quick before we continue on that death row question. I'm actually very curious where you go with that. You get one last meal, dessert, and drink. I got to hear this. I don't. What are you picking?
Well,
What's your last meal?
my favorite drink. I mean, you should know, and my wife should know. It's lemonade. That's easy. That's easy
You
off the top.
know what I thought you were gonna say? I thought you want to go up with a little grandma.
Oh no liquor, nah. Because if I'm eating, I'm first of all, I mean, yeah, I want something that tastes good. That's gonna be refreshing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, grandma. Yeah,
Because no, come on, that's not refreshing.
very
Yeah, not
refreshing.
refreshing, but
Refreshing for the soul.
I guess right. Yeah, but I would say lemonade. Dessert. That's tough. I mean,
Ooh,
I probably definitely has to involve vanilla ice cream. I just don't know if I want like a sundae or I
brownie
wouldn't
on
really.
brownie ice
Nah,
cream on top.
I'm not a big chocolate guy. So maybe like I don't know, like something with ice cream, like strawberry caramel, something with
Ooh,
ice
about a
cream.
good
Maybe.
milkshake. About a good shake.
Nah, I don't want that as my last dessert though. I want something I can like actually eat. So maybe like a gooey cake with it, like
You want that?
warm.
You want that chocolate chip cookie with the vanilla like you ate at Applebee's. So I got a quick story for y'all. Darian,
Oh my
this
god.
dude. You want to talk about food comas? So we way back in the day, we had just got paid.
Yeah, it's like what,
Well,
2012, 13,
2009.
12,
Nah,
12.
I was like
So
2009.
was
I
it the second? Oh, was it? It
think
wasn't the
so.
second to ESPN.
I'm not sure. Either way, it was a while ago. Probably like 2010. We just got paid. We were feeling good. So we just got paid. So we're like, yo, we're going to Applebee's. That's like, we went to Applebee's. We already ate a bunch of food. So Darian orders this big old cookie dessert with like scoops of vanilla ice cream on it. Eats the whole thing. And then he's like in the restaurant, like leaned over. Like, bro, I think you have to drive. I'm like, dog, you can't drive? You drunk? Well, I have to take his keys. Like in the car, he looks awful. Like he's like, bro, you good? I feel like, you know when like a friend's kind of drunk and you have to like they like put your arm around you. You got to like help them into the apartment, bro. It was bad.
Yeah, it was. But I mean, I went right to sleep, obviously, because I wasn't a fool. I went right to sleep, and
I didn't know if you'd want that for your last dessert.
nah, I don't want that for my life because that would remind me of that. But nah, yeah, something with like ice cream. I would say vanilla ice cream or like some warm like gooey cake that I can mix with it. You know what I mean? I don't know exactly what that is, but now as far as meal, that's tough, bro. Because there's so many foods I like. Like
You go. We got one more. What you getting?
I know. I mean, I would guess I would have to get something like maybe like a lobster, shrimp, crab, like a
like a scampi, like a shrimp scampi or something like that.
Nah. I would say more like an Alfredo, like a cream
Oh,
sauce.
you're a pasta guy. That's
I'm a
right.
pasta guy. Yeah, so I would say, excuse me, probably like a lobster, shrimp, crab, like Alfredo, cream
Ooh,
sauce, something like that.
that sounds good.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like fettuccine or like a thick noodle. You know what I mean? So yeah, that would probably be like, yeah, that would be good for me.
I'm a big Mexican food guy. I'm pretty simple. I want it to be like this big though. Give
So
me
what's the
like
drink first? What's the drink?
the drink. What am I drinking? Uh, I'm a big lemonade guy too. You know what? Yeah, give me like a strawberry lemonade. I'll do that.
Okay.
Straw lemonade. I need a big carne asada burrito though. It needs to be like this
Ooh.
big. I need
Like
pico de
Roberto's
gallo.
times 3.
Yeah, well, our friend Brandon's not gonna like that you're talking about Roberto's,
Yeah,
but
whatever.
I don't care where it's from. I want it to be straight from like Mexico City. Although
Mm,
I'm like burritos is actually more of an American thing.
it
But
is,
anyway,
yeah.
I want carne asada burrito. I want rice in there, pico de gallo, guac, cheese, and then for dessert, man, that's so hard. I love so many different desserts. Although there's this milkshake from Mr. Softies. It's their strawberry milkshake, bruh. I would do anything for that shake. So
I
that's
still want
what
to try those I haven't been, but I still want to try those ridiculous black tap shakes that I see on
those black tap, D. Haven't we? Maybe
Nah.
we went somewhere in New York.
We tried to go and we couldn't get it. The
We
line was crazy. Remember when
went
that's
somewhere
when
in New York though. We went somewhere in New York where the
Oh,
street.
you talking about was it Mama's Kitchen? The one
Oh,
that
that was it. That was
it was
it.
Mama's Kitchen or something, right? Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah, but I want to try those ridiculous like, where they put everything in it that I can't even get to the milkshake cuz it's all this stuff is like
You ended up looking like you did that night at Applebee's.
yeah, they be putting like two things of cake on it, a lollipop.
Yeah, they put like a whole cake on it. What was a whole cake? I don't want a whole cake.
Exactly.
All right, man. But let's move on a little bit before we get towards the end of our 100th episode. Shout out once again to Kelsey Nelson joining us, Fox
No
Sports
doubt.
Radio reporter. So let's do a little game called Big Deal or Let's Chill. Like let's chill out. It's not a big deal. You know the gist of it. We got to start with your boys, the Cowboys. They had a rough outing against the Lions, man.
Rough
Like,
outing. That's an understatement.
I mean, I don't know what.
That's
Yeah,
an understatement, bro. You should. I mean, I know you're not a Cowboy fan, and obviously you're you're not a fan, so I guess you don't really care. But you,
I mean, but
even as a
I don't root
non-fan,
against the Cowboys. Yeah, I don't
like
root
even as
against
a
the Cowboys.
non-fan, you have to say that. Like, I know you felt embarrassed for us. Like, you probably like, dude, this is like embarrassing.
It was just pretty shocking. It was pretty shocking
But why do
because
you say that? Why do you think it was shocking though? The way we played all year. Why would you say it was
it's
shocking?
because you didn't expect them to get blown out. You probably expected them to lose. You didn't expect them to lose by 40,
I
right?
mean, they pretty much did to the Saints earlier this year. So I wasn't
Games
like,
can happen every single home game. But yeah, they lost 49-7. They lost 49 to 47 to 9.
not even better.
They lost 47-9 to the Lions, and Jerry Jones goes on a weekly radio show, and things got really contentious with him and the host. There was a lot of back and forth. The host was pretty much asking him like, "Yo, do you regret not making more moves during the offseason?" Obviously, the thing that's came up a lot is not going after Derrick Henry, and you guys clearly have issues in the run game. So he said to the reporter, quote, "It's not your job. Your job is to let me go over all the reasons I did something, and I'm sorry that I did it. It's not your job. I'll get somebody else to ask me these questions. I'm not kidding. You're not going to figure out what the team is doing right or doing wrong. If you are, or any 5 or 10 like you need to come to this NFL meeting I'm going to today with the other 32 teams if you're such a genius." Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, what is he talking about? I mean, first, okay, look, from this, let me just say this.
I'm assuming you're going to say big deal that this happened.
Yes, it's a big deal. But I mean, let me just say this, and this is for all Cowboy fans. This is going to go on until he's gone. Whether he passes away or he just goes into some kind of thing where he comes and have an epiphany like, hey, I can't do this anymore. I mean, the man's 82 years old. I really don't want to see this 8 years from now. He's 90 still doing this. Like, it has to come a point where this has to end. And nothing's going to change until that happens. So I'm just going to say this to Cowboy fans. Until that at the top changes, you just continue. You're going to see it. Now, we may have some good seasons where, we win 11, 12 games, get to the playoffs.
It's happened a lot of times, yeah.
Of course, get bounced in the first round or the second round or whatever. But don't expect NFC championships, Super Bowls. No, that's not going to happen. Until he's gone, nothing's going to change because he's turning into Al Davis. Like, this is what happened to Al Davis with the Raiders. And unfortunately, his son is probably even worse now. And I can only hope and pray if Stephen Jones takes over that he's not as bad as Mark Davis. But nothing is going to change as long as Jerry Jones is still making decisions on roster, being the GM, doing these radio interviews. He's the owner of a sports franchise. He should not be a GM. He should not be doing radio interviews, sports interviews, and having play and in charge of player personnel. There's no way. And again, he's 82 years old. Name me another 82-year-old GM in the NFL. I'll wait. There is none.
Question. It's a good question. But I guess how I look at it is there has to be accountability for multiple things, right? So yes, Jerry Jones is a part of the issue. But you've also said they need to fire McCarthy. Well, if it's Jerry Jones, that's the big issue. Why fire McCarthy? Why criticize the defense? Why criticize the run game? What I'm saying is there's a lot of blame to go around. I don't think
not to interrupt you, but you said when we text back and forth, when you've been watching the Cowboys, you say a lot of it is coaching. I think that's a lot of times when I've texted you say like, I'll tell you like, oh, why is this happening? Like, well, that's coaching. You know what I mean? Like you were saying, like
it's coaching, but it's also
when the D doesn't get their gaps right, when they can't stop the run, when they're not
physical by the Lions' offensive line. Like it was embarrassing,
right? And you said you said a few games now. You said a lot of this is coaching. So the reason why
it is, but there's some accountability to go, and not to cut you off, just there's some accountability to go towards Dak too. Like, bro, you can't keep throwing these red zone interceptions. That's not on Jerry Jones. That's not on Mike.
No. I get that, but I think also with the Dak interceptions though, it's a lot of miscommunication because if you watch the route, there's obviously miscommunication with him and CD. He's not just throwing the ball and like, oh yeah, I'm throwing it to the other guy. So the one I'll give you an example. The one he threw against y'all. When I'm sorry, I don't know who your cornerback is. Is it what's his name?
There's Joey Porter Jr. and there's
the one that got in the end zone.
Dante Jackson.
Right. So if you look at the whole play, CD stops on the route. He like stops. So obviously Dak is thinking he's going, one way and CD goes another way. So that's a miscommunication thing. I mean, yeah, you can blame Dak, but you also didn't have to blame CD, right? You have to blame the receiver because they're not on the same page. Somebody's either not reading the play ball or not running the right route, and Dak is throwing it to the spot where he thinks the receiver is going to be. So the only reason I bring that up is because I was listening to Troy Aikman the other day,
who actually said that they have the worst route runners, and that route running is really bad.
Saying that you can't put everything on Dak because he's saying he's watching film and he's watching the receivers not run the right routes or not get off the line of scrimmage hard. So he's saying like, okay, Dak, he's the easy person to blame, but when you're really looking at the tape and looking at the whole play, you're like, wait a minute, Dak's not just throwing it just to throw an interception. He's throwing it to a spot where he thinks the receiver is going to be. Now, again, it's still on Dak to like know, okay, kind of, all right, the receiver's not really going there. He's obviously running the wrong route, so let me not pull a trigger and either check it down or run, I don't know, or go to another option. So I think Dak's problem is that he's trusting the receivers to, he keeps believing or trusting and having the belief in the receivers to run the right route, and he's throwing that to the spot, and they're not there.
Let's try again.
Sorry. Scary.
Supposed to be on Do Not Disturb.
Yeah, well, it was. I don't know why. I don't know what it's doing. But anyway, yeah, so I think that's part of the problem is that Dak is throwing it. Because, like I said, when I look at it, I've been watching some of the highlights after the game, and I'm looking at it, and I've watched the numbers, numerous times, and I'm like, yeah, he's not just throwing it interceptions to throw it. Like, he's not throwing it, like, inadvertently, oh, man, that was like a bad pick. Not to say they weren't bad picks, but it's like the receiver's not running the right route. So what is he to do as the quarterback then? Like, right, I mean, again, he doesn't have to pull the trigger. He can say, like, all right, the guy's not really running the right route, so I got to go somewhere else, or I got to, hold it or run or something. I mean, remember, a quarterback only has like 3 or 5 seconds to kind of decide all this. So I can't put the blame all on Dak. And you're right, Jerry Jones is not out there. So again, I think it harpers back to your point. It's coaching. So why are they not running the right routes? Why are they not getting off the line of scrimmage hard? That's coaching. Obviously, you have to have the wide receivers be accountable, but I keep going back to what you've been harping because like every time I know we talked, I've heard you a lot say, yeah, that's coaching. That's coaching. So if you're saying that's coaching, then Mike McCarthy is the issue because he is the head coach. And he's the offensive coordinator as well.
He is, and I'm not saying he shouldn't get any blame. I'm just saying I think the blame is to go to multiple places. I don't feel like it should all be on Jerry Jones because, yes, they're not playing well right now. They're 3-3. It's not like their season's over or anything, but they got a tough stretch coming up. They're gonna have to start really figure out how to, and that division. Even the Giants aren't. That's not a cakewalk. That's not an easy game at this point for y'all. Y'all aren't good enough. But to call I mean, you guys beat them earlier, but that actually wasn't a super easy game for you guys.
No, we only won by 4 points?
Yeah. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of blame to go around. It wasn't pretty, and it's strange to see because ultimately you still have Dak, you still have CeeDee Lamb, like you still have a lot of really talented players, even on the defensive side. I know Micah Parsons didn't play, but there's a lot of football left. We'll see how the rest of the season unfolds. I still think you guys can win 9 games. I don't know how that's going to look. But
yeah, I mean, right now, 9 games. Shoot, I'd be happy just to get to like 7. They won 7 games I think,
right now. Yeah,
from what we've seen so far. I mean, because I only see like 3 or 4 more wins. I mean, when I look at the schedule, I'm like, okay, I see maybe 3 or 4 more wins tops. So they get to 7 is like, okay. I mean, I told you in the beginning of the year, I didn't think they were a playoff team. You know what I mean? And I think most Cowboy fans are starting to come to that realization they are not really a playoff team. Let's be real, man. Look, whether Jerry fires McCarthy, let's say they have this, stretch and, they lose 3 in a row, right? They go 3-6. Whether he fires him then or fires him after the season, McCarthy's gone. Because McCarthy, the only way he can save his job is going to the NFC Championship game. So
yeah, it's pretty much a what lame duck season.
He's a lame duck coach. He's a lame duck coach.
He's a lame duck unless something miraculously happens. But
right, exactly.
Yeah. All right, so big deal. Let's chill. So the Steelers are actually looking to move forward. At the quarterback position, Justin Fields has led them to a 4-2 record.
Right.
Passing game has just been okay. I mean, they rank 28th in passing right now, so it hasn't been that great. But he's been doing some other really good things. He only has 1 interception. He has 10 total touchdowns between the air and obviously running for some. So he's definitely done some good things. Obviously,
so 5 on the ground, 5 in the air.
Yes, I believe. Yep, okay. Exactly. 5 rushing touchdowns, 5 passing touchdowns, 1 interception. We saw him in person. Even, we even said at the game when we saw it, like, there's still some things to be desired in the passing game. So
very limited.
Yeah, very limited. So they are. All indication is pointing to them starting Russell Wilson Sunday night against the Jets. Big deal, or let's chill that they're benching Justin Fields.
No, it's a big deal because I think. I know you're a Steelers fan, but I know other Steelers fans. It's funny. I know one that I work with. She was telling me, she's been wanting Russell Wilson again, just to see if she thinks they can go down the field more, to push it more down the field.
Right.
She thinks the offense will be a lot more explosive, getting Pickens involved, getting your tight end. You know what I mean? So I think it's a big deal because of the possibility and kind of what can be, if we can get if we get Russell from last year from Denver, I think, that's a big deal. Because he was able to still push it down the field. And, Justin, I like him. I think he's a great athlete, but I just think he's very limited. You know what I mean? I think he's more of a dual threat quarterback where,
But he's not a Lamar Jackson dual threat.
Nah, not like Lamar. Not that level. Not on that level, but he's probably, I want to say, a poor man's them. But he's a good athlete, but I just think ultimately he can throw it down the field.
Not consistently, because he has a good arm.
Yeah, but I think Russ can. I think Russ still is he's capable of still pushing it down the field when you need to. Like, I remember when Justin Fields got hurt in the Cowboy game and your backup came in,
Kyle Allen.
And I remember that one play he did. He threw it over the middle. And I was like, okay.
And they don't really throw down the middle with Fields.
Exactly. So I think Russ can do that. I think Russ can do that multiple times. You know what I mean? So I think if you're a Steelers fan, it's a little, you should be a little excited that at least you're going to get somebody that can push it down the field. Now, the one caveat with Russ is that, he's not as mobile as he used to be.
No.
And one thing I will say about he's never really thrown a lot of interceptions, so he doesn't make it a lot of.
Really? Yeah, he not really.
and he's not like, he's not Seattle Russ where he can kind of make something out of nothing and kind of move around and kind of just make a play up, but
Create
he's
something.
still
Yeah.
a good passer, a good thrower, a good arm. So I think if you are a Steelers fan, the excitement is that he can actually push it down the field and get it to your receivers, get it to your tight end. And I know, a receiver like Pickens is going to be happy because, he's a deep threat. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm very excited to see what he can do. And see what he has left in the tank. Because, like I said, I mean, last year with Denver, you had 26 touchdowns, 8 picks. That was pretty good.
With a team that wasn't as well put together as the Steelers are.
Right,
Not to
but
say the Steelers.
he had Cortland Sutton. I mean, he had Jerry Jeudy, who I think is overrated, by the way.
I'm
But
tired of his name. He don't have
but he had Cortland Sutton. But yeah, he didn't have he doesn't have.
I'm just talking about the culture, the coaching. Like, there's a lot more the Steelers have going for them than the Broncos did last season. So
yeah, I think I know you're a Steelers fan. If I'm you, I'd be a little excited.
Yeah. So I look at it from a couple of different perspectives. I think the negative. So I'm gonna say big deal that they're doing this because I think unfortunately, like, are you still planning on potentially having Justin Fields be your future? Because if you are, I don't think this is a great move because, like, let's see, this is his resume, like, to be the long-term guy. Because remember, they only signed him to a 1-year deal. So if you bench him now, and let's say hypothetically Russell Wilson just starts the rest of the year, then what do you do in the offseason? Do you re-sign Justin Fields? Do you give him a long-term deal? Do you say, hey, you went 4-2, you looked okay, but we're not sure we want to sign you long-term? So I'm not really sure.
Ultimately, you got to do it best with the team, man. Like, if Russ comes in and starts cooking and starts winning, that's what matters.
But he's not a long-term answer, though.
I understand that. Okay, this is what do you guys 4-2, right? You're 4-2. Let's just say argument. Russ comes in, rattles off 6 straight wins. He's playing well. Let's say in 6 games he throws 12 touchdowns, 2 picks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, again, we got to live in now. Like, football is a game of what have you done for me lately? Like, we can think about the future. That's cool, but you're trying to win now. You know what I mean? So,
but the thing is, they've been winning now. Like, they're winning.
No, I get that. But what I'm saying is, if you have a quarterback that can actually now it's pushing it down the field, and you're going, let's say you go from 28th to like 15th or 14th. Well, obviously Russ has improved y'all. So if Russ still has stuff left in the tank, then you gotta go with Russ. Like, I mean, remember, Russ was a low risk, high reward thing. You only signed him for 1 year. So if he comes in and does what he's been in and does his thing, at least for maybe not long term, right? I'm not saying a 5-year deal, but maybe 2-3 years, you gotta go with Russ.
Yeah, it's a very interesting situation, and I'm a little surprised that the Steelers did do this. I know they had said in training camp he's the starter, but I thought that Justin Fields, and I think Justin Fields did have a chance to win the job. I just think they wanted to see a little bit more consistency in the passing game, and they just haven't really seen that.
You got to see what Russ has. You got to at least see what he got.
Yeah, and I think that's the. What I was saying earlier is just to say that I thought it was a big deal because I don't really know what their long-term plan is now, but I'm actually okay with the move. Here's the thing too. There's this whole thing with like, oh, well, what if Russell sucks? We'll just put Fields back in. I don't think it's
correct. That's what I was going to say.
I trust the organization for there not to be any sort of rift. Like, oh, well, what if Fields is mad? And Fields ain't going to care. He's like, yeah, I would love to play again. So I don't think this is a big risk. Now, the question...
Where you're coming from, I get how you feel as a fan. Like, you want, all of us, right, as fans, we want a long-term solution. We want somebody that's going to be there, 5, 10 plus years. I get it. But if you have a guy that could come in and win for you now and maybe even play 2 or 3 more years at a level that he's playing, then you take it. Because here's the thing. If you win a Super Bowl in those years, are you going to care about the future? Yeah, I mean, you will, but you're going to be like, well, we won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, right. Or if
you're not going to be like, oh, man, well, we won the Super Bowl, but, man, we don't got no quarterback. No, you're going to be like, yeah, we won the Super Bowl with this dude. So
even if you make, I don't even think it has to be as extreme as a Super Bowl. Even if you make like a deep playoff run, like if you get to the Titan game,
exactly. So that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's like, I get it. Like, as fans, we always want the long-term solutions. Like, oh, this guy's going to be there 5+ years, 10 years, whatever. I get that, but football is a what have you done for me lately kind of thing. You want to win now. You know what I mean? Like, we're in this season, we're 6, 7 games into the season. Like, you want to win now. So if he's the guy that can elevate you guys. You're 4-2 now, can win you the next 6 games, and he, like I said, he goes on a 12-2 run, 12 TDs, 2 picks. Then you got to stick with him. You know what I
Now,
mean?
I'm also wondering how long Russ's leash is going to be. Like, if Russell struggles, do you let him kind of get, because he's going to be a little rusty. He hasn't played.
Right.
So do you give him a few games to figure it out? Do you give him, what if he's really, really stinks it up in the
Well,
Jets?
I think you give him a few games to figure out if you're winning, right? Like, if let's say, I mean, it depends on what you consider struggling. Like, what is it? Like, if he throws just like 1 touchdown, no picks, or he doesn't throw that for that many
Yeah, I
yards.
mean,
I mean,
ultimately it's going to come down to whether they're winning games or not. But like, if
right.
if he's,
Now, if you guys lose 2 or 3 straight, then you got to put Justin Fields back in.
yeah, man,
You have to, because the season will get you'll get away.
Yeah.
You remember you're still in the division with Baltimore now. Yeah, Cleveland's done. Even though the Bengals don't look that better either, but
They don't, but at least they're. I mean, they just won. They had a nice win last week.
right.
I don't think they're like done yet. I still
they're
think
not done. Right. So you always got to worry about them. So you don't want the season to get too behind you. So yeah, I mean 2 or 3 games. If Russ is stinking up the joint, you may just have to go with Russ. I mean, go with Justin Fields.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, but I'm excited either way. And to stick with that matchup, Steelers Jets. Big deal or no? Big deal. Or let's chill that the Jets got Devontae Adams. Oh, by the way, and Robert Saleh was caught by I don't know if it was TMZ.
Oh, I saw this morning.
TMZ.
Whole Foods.
He's at a Whole Foods. Somebody was asking how he feels about getting fired by the Jets. He said he's living the dream. It's like, oh boy.
Yeah, they're still paying him. They still have to pay him.
Love it. We'd all love to be paid a bunch of money just to chill. But
chill, exactly.
Big deal that they got Devontae, or let's chill. Like, who cares? Like, they're still the Jets.
Yeah, let's chill. Who cares? Because they still have a quarterback that I think is washed. I don't care what you or B. Rice says.
I think he's past his prime. I don't think he's washed.
But so if you're past your prime, then what are you then?
Like Russell Wilson. A lot of people think Russell Wilson's washed. I think he's past his prime. Like, he's not able to do some of the things that he could normally do in his prime. Like, he's not as mobile. Maybe, but
okay,
I still think Aaron Rodgers can make good he has a good arm still. I mean, I don't want to use the Hail Mary as the only example, but he still makes really good throws within the game. Now that's my opinion. If you think he's washed, I've heard that too.
Yeah, I'm not so. Like I said, I don't think it's that big of a deal because they have other issues that I mean, besides Aaron, like I said, Aaron's the biggest issue, but I think they have other issues. I mean,
their O-line's awful.
O-line's awful. They really have no running game. Even though
it's just
they have no running game. It just seems like sometimes while the defense is really good, it just seems like Aaron is also not on the same page with his receivers. Like he's still doing that diva stuff where if they mess up, he doesn't want to throw to them, and I think that's why some of the times why he throws a lot of interceptions because he gets into this diva mode where oh, okay, you messed up, I'm not throwing it to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm just worried that now that Devontae's there, he's going to kind of forget about Garrett Wilson and just throw to Devontae.
We've seen that happen before. Yeah, right? We've seen that.
Oh, he's going to feed Devontae because that's my boy. He knows me. We're cool. And he doesn't really have that relationship with Garrett. Obviously, you saw early in the season, him and Garrett Wilson got into it on the sideline. So they obviously don't have that relationship where, hey, we're buddy, or hey, we're on the same page. So even though he's thrown Garrett Wilson, a few touchdowns this year, they don't have that same relationship he has with Devontae. So yeah, I just think he's going to be forcing a lot to Devontae, and it's going to lead to picks. And I'm going to be like, yeah, I told y'all, and like you say, he's past his prime. So he's not he's not as accurate. He's not the Aaron Rodgers he was in Green Bay.
Right.
At least before his last year, So I don't think it's that big because I don't really know how Devontae helps them because they didn't really need Devontae. To me, they had decent receivers. You had Garrett Wilson, who I think is a top receiver. You had Alan Lazard. You have Mike Williams.
It's interesting too because both Garrett Wilson and Alan Lazard had over 100 yards receiving last week.
Exactly. So you had talent. So getting Devontae, what does that add? Just another person to throw the ball to. I guess another, to spread. But now I feel like you're gonna force feed him because that's your boy. Oh, it's Devontae Adams. You know what I mean? So yeah, we made this trade for him. We got to get him involved. Like I said, I don't think it's a big deal, but to be honest, it might end up being like a disaster, to be honest.
Speaking of disasters, so the Lakers won a championship during the COVID season, 2020.
Right.
And they didn't get to have a parade for obvious reasons.
Of course.
Jeannie Buss recently came out and said, well, wait a minute. We actually still may celebrate that championship, and we may still do a parade. Big deal that she did this, or I don't even know. I hope you don't think this is.
I don't even know how to respond to this. Like to if it's a big deal or not a big
Like,
deal. I mean,
there should be another category. Just waste of time. Big deal. Let's chill.
There you go. That's a perfect. Yeah.
Why?
Complete waste of time. It's almost 5 years removed from a championship.
Whoever goes, I'm getting on them. Like, why'd you go to that? Like, yeah, I wanted to go.
Well, first of all, some of those players aren't even there anymore.
First of all, some aren't in the league. You get
retired.
like Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard's not in the league anymore. Like he's like,
he's a coach now. He's an assistant coach.
Well, what's it called? Danny Green just retired.
Yeah. And Alex Caruso's on like the Thunder. Like, are they gonna come back?
Like JaVale McGee? Like, come on, man. I'm being real. This is what let's be. I'm gonna need LeBron to step in and be like, "Hey, Jeannie, but thanks, but no thanks." Like
Yeah, it's not a good idea.
Let's just keep it real. LeBron kind of runs that whole thing. He could just be like, "Yeah,
he is the Aaron Rodgers of the NBA."
But I think he deserves to do that more than because I think he's won way more than Aaron. But
of course, yeah.
I still don't think
they're equivalent. You know what I'm saying? They're running organizations.
Yeah, I need LeBron to put his foot down. But a parade.
Yeah, it's a waste of time, bro. Like, nah. And like you said, I agree. Anybody that goes, I'm gonna be like, why did you go? 5 years removed.
It'd be different if it was like 2021. Like, hey, like things are good now. Like we're gonna be
real. If you want to do that, then every team that's won championship, they get to be like, hey, let's celebrate our 10th year and to throw a parade. So the Bulls are gonna celebrate in 2028, 40 years.
There's a former Bulls there, Jason Caffey and Randy Brown, like Dickie Simpkins will be there.
Yeah, like who cares, bro? Like, don't get me wrong, I would love to see Mike, but it's just like that's all people gonna want to see is Mike, and it's like after that, like who cares? Like, all right, you know what I mean?
I'm not trying to see Jed Bushler. I'm sorry.
No, exactly. And they're all old with like grays and stuff. Like they're like grandpas. Yeah, I'm not trying to see that, bro. Yeah, I'm not trying to see it.
I didn't even want to put this on the rundown. I was like, come on, what are we doing, man? Just get more than a point.
I didn't know until you put it on the rundown. That's when I saw it. I was like, what? What do you mean? We mean celebrating it? It's 5 years removed. Like, you should have did it like the year or two. Like, when everything opened up, you should have did it. Like, okay, I mean, I guess, but 5 years? Like, what? Why did that pop in her mind? I really want to ask her, like, what made you... Were you like up one night or in bed like, hey,
let's like focus on the season. Like, hey,
exactly.
Yeah,
we're gonna do, and that's another thing. Are you gonna do it during the season? Like they're in the middle of the season, like, yeah, let's celebrate the 2020. That makes no sense.
Like I said, LeBron better stop this from happening. well, last thing. All right, one of our boys, B Rice. He's been on the podcast before. Back in our audio days, he was on the pod.
Yeah, shout out to B Rice.
We had some great conversations via text, and he randomly texts us. He goes, "Talib Kweli is trash." I'm like, oh. So we were a bunch of back and forth. Like Darian was like mad offended, and I was like, trash.
I am. I still am offended.
Now look. First of all, Trash is insane. He's one of the dopest lyricists. Shout out to BK. I'm not from Brooklyn. I don't know why I'm saying shout out to BK. But
I was about to say that, like,
my whole thing is like
you're honoring BK.
I always mess with Brooklyn. I like Brooklyn. Lived in New York City for 5 years. I can rock with it. But Trash? Big deal or less chill that he said this?
Yeah, definitely a big deal. He's not trash at all. Now, okay, maybe I put him in higher regards than you guys do, and of course, by our text, you know that. So for me, look, it's a couple things. Like, and that's fine. You want to call me biased, that's fine, because I always say music is subjective. You like who you like. Like, we can all, I mean, I guess for fun, we always get on each other, oh, that person sucks, or they trash. Mm-hmm. But to be honest, like, everybody has different things they're into, right? They listen to music for different things. So for me with Talib, I mean, one, it's a personal thing. Like, my older brother, who was in the music industry, went to high school with Talib, and they were very close, very good friends. And Kweli, because I'm from Brooklyn, is a big staple of Brooklyn. Like, when you talk about Brooklyn hip hop rappers, he's always at the top of that. Like, people
absolutely,
like,
yeah, for sure.
He's dope. Not just Brooklyn, like New York in general. So That's one. And to me, Talib, like, so I was big on the whole Soul Aquarian era. You remember the era, like the
Mhm.
late 90s, the 2000s. It was like him, Mose, Common, Erica Badu, D'Angelo, The Roots, that whole Soul Aquarian thing. So that's the kind of hip hop I'm into. I'm a big lyricist, kind of, yeah, if you want to call it conscious rap, yeah, I'm into that. That's what I'm into. So for B Rice to say that he's whack, and I'm trying to think of I'm like, okay, so how is he whack? Because like lyrically, you can't say that. Like
Yeah,
even peers have said he's one of the dopest lyricists ever, ever. Like you know what I mean? Like if you want to say like, okay, I don't like what he talks about, or I'm not really into the consciousness, and
I think that's what it is. What are
yeah,
you?
that's fine. But
Yeah,
say that. Say like, okay, I'm not into the conscious stuff. Just like okay, for instance, I'm not into like trap music. I'm not into the twerking and club music. Like I do like some of it, but I'm not bumping that in my car or I'm not listening to that in my headphones. That's not me. You know what I'm saying? So that's what you're into. Cool. I'm not judging you because if you're a person that's into music, you want to have fun with it. Great. But people listen to music for different things. Like music puts when I listen to music, certain music puts me in different moods. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So like depending on the mood I am, I listen to certain things, right? But again, that's the kind of hip hop I'm into. And you have every right to be whatever you're into, but to call him trash or to call him whack, I mean, I think that's a bit of a stretch. You know what I mean? Where if you would have asked other MCs, ask Nas, ask Jay, well, Jay did a song with him. You think they're gonna say he's whack? Like, nah, they're not gonna say that.
yeah, and not to disrespect any other rappers or call anyone else out, but if Talib is whack, what is like Kodak Black and like some of these other dudes? Like
Right.
what?
Right.
Like
Exactly.
you mean to tell me they're like on the same level? Like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I think I was a little upset about because right, if you're calling him whack, then it's like, geez, what do you think about some of today's hip hop? You know, what do you think about even people
Yeah,
that we thought were not great back in the day, even though they sold a lot of records? Like, if he's whacked and godly, then I guess a lot of those dope MCs that are lyrical, you might as well say Common, Black Thought, you know, all those guys are whack. Most they're all whack, and nobody's saying that. Like, if you want to take a strong poll of real hip hop as saying, "Are those four MCs are those all whack?" No, it's gonna be like 99% of them are gonna be like, "Nah, they're not whack." You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So
Ultimately, like you had mentioned, it really comes down to what your taste is.
right.
Here's the thing: like, even if you don't have, if even if you're not a fan of a certain rapper's music, like for
Mm-hmm.
example, I got a perfect example. You're not an Eminem guy.
No, I'm not.
Not really a thing, bro. You've never in a million years been like he's whack. No,
No, I've never said he's trash or garbage.
no. You don't content wise, he doesn't appeal to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
that's not your thing. Me, you
Right.
know me, I'm an M guy. Although I'm one of the first to admit there's a lot of his albums I'm like, this is not. And now his albums have been, he's had some trash albums,
Right.
but
Right.
yeah, I don't think. Look, music is subjective, yes, but I feel like there are also some like definitive facts. Like
Right.
nobody's gonna tell me Nas sucks. Like, well, he doesn't.
Right. But some people are not into Nas. Like I've met people that don't like Nas music, so they're like, "No, nah, I'm not really into him like that. Like I'm not really
That's
feeling him."
different than saying somebody's whack, though.
Right. But they never said he's trash.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
So for instance, like I know you. I'm bringing up this other dude. You and Kwesi are not big on Ludacris, but you've admitted
No,
even with Ludacris, like,
no.
but you can spit though. You're like, yeah, he's not trash.
He
He
does
has
nothing for me content wise. Yeah, like he doesn't.
right,
But
just
he
like
can.
Eminem does it.
Oh yeah, like
Right, but you never
as far as like wordplay, like, oh, he's great.
right, but I've never heard you say Ludacris is garbage. You never said that.
No, no.
Yeah, you know what I'm
I,
saying. So
I
I know you're not
also like
really.
some of his music, so I couldn't
Say
say
it
that.
again?
I also like some of his music too.
Right. So I've never heard you say, "Oh, Ludacris is garbage." Like I've never heard you say that. You always just like, "Yeah, I'm not really feeling the content." You know what I mean? But
Yeah, like how
yeah,
low can you go? Like, yeah, I'm not really feeling that. But you know what? He's trying to appeal to a certain crowd. Like he's like a fun rapper. Like he likes to have
right,
fun and
right.
like talk about partying and
He talked about that. It's funny. Recently I watched the interview and he was saying how people actually Jay told him. Jay was like, "Dude, you could have been one of the greats, but you play around too much." You know what I mean?
but it made him become one of the more successful rappers of that era.
Right,
Like,
right. It did.
if you think of college, he was one of the biggest rap artists when we were in college in the 2000s.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So, listen, as I always say, music is subjective. Whatever you're into, you're into. I'm not here to judge or, criticize. It just may be something I'm not into, and that's fine, but don't don't ever just go on an artist and call them trash, especially if you haven't listened to him like that. Because the one thing that our friend, B. Rice, like I know he hasn't heard everything. Like he's probably heard some things, and
I
yeah, he
offered up a
liked it.
playlist. It's like, yo, I'll make you a playlist. He's like, nah,
Exactly. So then you can't make that statement. You know what I'm saying? If you're offering a playlist and you're like, well, I'm not gonna listen to it, okay, then you can't call them trash because you haven't heard everything. You know what I mean? It's just like, I'll give you an example. We can go into other genres. It's like, yeah, I'm not into that like that dark goth rock and roll, like that when they scream, they're doing all that. But yeah, but I would never get on here and be like, yo, it's garbage, it's trash. I'm just not into that. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
maybe if somebody was like, hey, you need to listen to it, or I'm always giving a chance, like, all right, I'll listen to it.
You're not listening to that.
Or like, listen, like classical, like, the like, like, yeah, I can't. If somebody's into that, I'm not gonna go, oh, that sucks, that's trash. Like, yeah, this is something that I'm into. I'm just not into it. You know what I mean?
So when is it? There has to be times where you can just be like, nah, this dude's whack. Like instead of because can't somebody that likes Kodak Black? I hate to keep using him, but can't somebody that likes Kodak Black be like, well, you don't like it, but it's not whack? Can they say that? Or are some things just like
what
what
context they're using it in, right? So like, if somebody's telling me Kodak Black is lyrically good, then no, he is garbage. He's whack. But if you're telling me as an artist, as a rapper, he's good, okay. Like as a whole, like yeah, like he's made
found
these songs.
success. Yeah, he's found success.
Exactly. So maybe then he's not whack. But it depends on the context you're using it. Now, if you want to get into like lyrically, no. If you want to argue that, come on. Like nobody's gonna convince me that Kodak Black's better than Big. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's ridiculous. Like lyrically, like no, you can't say that. You can't.
Kodak Black's better than Big.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? You can't say who's another one. You can't say Future is better than Nas. Like you can't.
Well,
no.
we know some. Well, you may say that.
Well, whatever. No, lyrically, it's not even close. Like, come on.
Well,
according
you didn't know if Future was a rapper or a singer.
I don't. That's how bad I think he is. But that's just me, though. I'm just not into him like that. I look at Future how I look at The Weeknd. You know what I mean? So.
Come on. Nah, that's not. No. But you said multiple times you like The Weeknd. He's like,
he's not a Weeknd person either.
No. But everybody says everybody says the same thing about The Weeknd. They don't say he's whack. They're like, just like, he's like, alright. Like he says whatever.
Yeah, but he's more like, like not that good to me. Like when
Future's whack though. You don't think he's whack?
Okay, I'll give you that. Weeknd is a little better. I'll like The Weeknd a little better than Future. Like as far as like, I won't say he's garbage because I think Future's garbage. I think he's pure like. But that's me though. Like I said, I'm not into him like that. If you like him, that's fine. But you're not gonna like if somebody again, there's somebody's like, hey, I think he's lyrically better than Nas. You need to be slapped. Like no, he's not.
I hope nobody actually ever says that.
Yeah, it's like no, it's like not in what world, what universe did you think that? Like you listen to his lyrics and listen to Nas, and you're like, yeah, I think Future's better. Nah, get out of here with that. Then I can't take you as a serious hip hop dude.
What was that dude's name? He was on that Daddy's Home song. Plies.
Yeah, like I love Plies now as like a commentator, but he was a horrible rapper to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He wasn't a good rapper.
Yeah. But hey man, 100th episode. Actually, we have a nice little surprise here. The lovely wife wanted to give us. Oh, this looks good, Darian. I wish you could be here for this, but
I'm a little mad that I'm not there for it, but that's fine. And you have a fork and everything ready to eat.
This is for our 100th episode. So shout out to the lovely wife. Thank you very much.
Yeah, to the homegirl Maya. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she baked this.
Oh, she baked it. Okay,
it's freshly baked, and
please me a pizza something.
What kind of cake is this? Condensed milk cake.
Ooh, yeah, I know about those. They be
about to kill this joint.
They had those. We be having those at Thanksgiving.
All right,
Hey, I don't know about all that.
Hey man, we gotta celebrate, you know.
Nah, no doubt.
I'm just jealous because you're not getting none of this cake.
I am jealous.
Very questionable, by the way.
I'm hating, but nah, man. Just on serious note, 100 episode. This is big for us. Like, I never thought from that conversation we had in the apartment, you know, coming up with the concept of the idea of having this podcast to now having 100 episodes and going from audio to video. What we're doing, I just never thought it would be this, but
Yeah, finally on
yeah,
video.
man, it's big, it's huge. I just, like I said, as always, I just wish, for us to just keep growing, keep, pushing forward, continue success. We obviously expand our listenership, viewership.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, just keep going.
You know what happened? So we went from audio to like to on camera. You know what happens next is live shows. Like, oh, we
Yeah,
gotta
exactly. So I
we gotta.
think we
No,
just
no,
need to
I'm
keep.
talking about live audience shows.
Oh, no, that's what I'm saying. But I'm just saying in general, we just need to keep pushing forward as far as like, right. There should be no limit to what we can do. You know what I mean?
Oh, good.
Yeah, I like how you're just eating that in front of me, but cool. But
Yeah.
but yeah, man. Like I said, I'm just proud of us, man. Just like Kelsey said, we're just proud to be a part of this, and I think while it may take some time, I think we have something special. I think we have something here.
Yeah,
That
I think it's one of those things where we're still growing.
right,
The numbers aren't big, but like we do it. This is passion. This is
of
fun.
course, of
We
course, of course.
we have our personal lives, we have our careers, but
Right.
what we love to do, we're going to continue to do, because we have people. Even if the numbers aren't super high yet, we have people that like tune in every single week. Like we have our dedicated
Right,
list, which is great. So yeah, man,
right.
looking forward to the future.
No doubt, no doubt. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll do it again next week.
Peace.
Peace.